Welcome to the Brothers and Sisters podcast. This is what's coming up next, so stay tuned.
I have like teachers who write about critical race. You're
Pretty
like
progressive, pretty
really
woke.
advanced liberal people never heard the word Juneteenth like once. And so I do in a way, like with a lot of politics stuff now, like I like even when we were talking about stuff with Bernie and stuff like that, that's why my moderating like senses often kick in. Because I think to myself, like, if I who like searches out this kind of stuff willfully like all the time and I feel pretty surrounded by it, haven't even like ever heard of it. Like I can only imagine how many people like have no clue.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Good evening and welcome to the Brothers and Sisters podcast. Today is June 17th? Yes, it is June 17th. It's my brother's birthday, in fact. He was just here, yeah.
Happy birthday, brother.
Happy 38th, Dr. France. He was a good guest on the show also.
Yeah, okay. Doctor.
Dr. France, yes.
Dr. France, yeah, well, he wouldn't like that at all. Happy 38th Karad.
Like you
yeah, happy 38th
You're actually
Karad.
the second person I know. Like I know someone else's, their last name is French. So I'm
really?
French and French.
Yeah, their last
French
name
is popular. Like all the Frances that I met, especially the white ones, I look at them like,
you're like,
Mhm.
yeah, they made the blacks French.
right?
The blacks are French and the whites are France.
Yeah, right, exactly. Anyway, you see, we've already got our gregarious, spirited guest, fashion designer, Joseph Whittingham. He's gonna chime in on a lot of our topics tonight. We got a great show. Walter, Autumn, Nicole are here with us. We're gonna discuss Juneteenth, being a national holiday now, and what does that mean? Because it's going to mean a lot. I've already had a lot of white people asking me if they could say Happy Juneteenth, and honestly, I don't have an answer. Right?
Right.
Like,
Well,
I don't have
you
an
have to
answer.
sit with it for a moment.
Yeah, exactly.
We're gonna decide what it is, right?
Yeah, we're gonna have
We not made the collective decision. If it's Freedom Day, I mean, we ain't made the decision yet. Give it some time, let it breathe. We weren't expecting this to happen, so we need some time to let it breathe a little bit.
You know what? Between the five of us, maybe on this episode, we'll decide how Black people in general should approach it. I think we can actually solve it.
I don't want to make decisions for all Black.
Is Juneteenth like a barbecue day? Is that gonna be like
Yeah.
a
Federal holiday now. That's all I know. Federal holiday.
National Barbecue Day?
Right? Right?
That's the official day of the cookout. Everybody's cookout gonna be on Juneteenth.
Everybody, that's the official day.
But what if it's on a Tuesday or a Thursday? How you gonna cook out on a Thursday?
It's still June 19th. It's still one day before summer starts.
I like when they do things like on days, like the third Saturday. That way it's always on that day. So it never can fall on a weekday.
Right.
Yeah,
That's a good point.
It on whatever weekend falls closest. Like
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
I already
an extra 3-day weekend out of joint.
I already like the lead with the headway we're making into this issue. We'll have it. We can just send it out to all the Blacks. That's one. Two.
You're Black people.
Yeah, exactly.
Black person over there.
We thought about it hard. We put some thought into this, and we think this is how we should approach it. The second one, what do we say? We kind of, so obviously everybody who watches the show, we always have like a mini faux production meeting where we talk about what we're going to discuss. It was Juneteenth. What else was it? I think Tucker Carlson and Dr. Charles Murray were discussing a race war and how real it's
in relation to Juneteenth. Like, I myself, I have found like the whole politics around it to be really interesting. Like,
yeah,
I always felt like I grew up in a very Black, like a very aware Black environment. Like growing up in New York, like in New York City public schools, I had great Black teachers who like, we had the full Kwanzaa month, especially back in the 90s. Like I feel like I'm old enough where I remember when we had Kwanzaa in school, you know, and like all that kind of stuff. But like, I literally never, and I even lived in Alabama before. Like I lived in Alabama before. I'm well-traveled. So I literally never heard of Juneteenth until like the last like couple years. Like literally, like never ever in my life, like not one. Like I have I went to the new school. I have like teachers who write about critical race. You're like really advanced liberal people never heard the word Juneteenth like once. And so I do in a way, like with a lot of politics stuff now, like I like, even when we were talking about stuff with Bernie and stuff like that, that's why my moderating like senses often kick in, because I think to myself, like, if I, who like searches out this kind of stuff willfully, like all the time, and I feel pretty surrounded by it, haven't even like ever heard of it. Like, I can only imagine how many people like have no clue. Yeah. You know what I mean? And and that's like being like a New York liberal, like, you know, like the minute you go outside of like New York and you go to other places, like there's so many people, they don't even have, you know, any teaching of that in their schools at all. So like the fact that we've gone, I feel like there's so many things that we just like, we kind of like overcorrect. It's like we've gone from like, I didn't even know about it to now it's a holiday. And there's like all of the things that are important around it, none of that has happened.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, so we're definitely gonna get into the Juneteenth. Autumn, I'll let you go too. I just want to give the.
Sorry, I didn't know if I was.
No. This is exactly how it works. This is exactly how it works. Go into it. We're also going to talk about colorism in the Heights. If we have a chance, the Dikembe Mutombo like rejection of Byron Donalds from the Congressional Black Caucus, and then we'll have, per usual, we'll have our interview with. Joseph at the end of the show to talk politics, fashion, pride, the whole 9 yards. So hopefully we get people out of here on time. We're at a decent bedtime. But Autumn, go ahead, continue. You were going to make a point about Juneteenth.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I mean, I didn't realize that there was a woman, her name's Opal, her last name escapes me, but I didn't realize how hard she was fighting to get this to become a federal holiday. So in that respect, I'm really happy about it. But at the same time, it's like, they're throwing us a bone. like
holidays seem really easy to get. Martin Luther King days, like Juneteenth, like
83, sir.
Yeah.
83. That's 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow. And the longest time, Arizona was holding out.
Bingo.
It being a big deal that Arizona was like, no, we do not want a day off. Like,
y'all man John McCain, that's where y'all man John McCain was coming from. He made a big point of that. He's like, there will not be a federal holiday. Then he relented. Yeah. Are we happy? I think shock was probably the first. It's like, oh, okay.
When I got the
speed that it happened.
So like, but to me, it's evidence 100 that the GOP is full of shit. Right? Here's what it is. Here's what's gonna happen. We're gonna get through this election cycle. But see, look, I voted so you can have Juneteenth as a holiday. Not you can actually go vote.
Right.
But you can have a holiday.
You can have a holiday, but don't vote.
Let's pick
that, but like they're also like currently taking out Black history out of textbooks while passing the holiday. And like just so unanimous, I feel like, you know, like as a like the old school New York, like Republicans are so gangster. Like they're like some gangster, like they make me feel like white. I mean, like they so gangster. Like they do stuff in your face. Like they're like, oh, we're gonna take like all the Black history out of schools anyway. So you can have Juneteenth.
Whatever.
What? Take that.
Here's how they do it. Here's how they do it.
That's how they do it.
The largest school districts in the country are in Texas.
Yep.
Mifflin is in Texas. When they write what they want to have in their textbook, they're printing the textbooks for the entire country, right? Because school districts, so they request the most books.
I think McGraw Hill is in Texas.
When they renamed the Trail of Tears to moving out to let the new settlers take over the land, I mean, that's what they did, and that's what caused the initial uproar. Was like, yo, what is this?
Yeah.
So,
sugarcoating history.
But that's how they do it.
And I feel like, you know, that's how you get like these, even going, like when I went to the new, you know, when I was in college, I remember like so many times where there would be people in school who are like very wealthy, like obviously from very like good education backgrounds, like they obviously went to like a better high school than I went to. And like you're talking about basic facts around history, American history, and it's just like totally blank from them. And I feel like sometimes you like, that's what we're talking about, checking yourself, because it's like you think that you're having these like equal conversations, whereas like Republicans, they get away with so much stuff because like they really don't know. Like people really don't know, and like ignorance is bliss. Most people, they don't know and they don't want to know.
Yeah.
So it's like if they're not trying to also look for it, I feel like in a way, like I would be much more for, passing legislation, like mandating like certain specific things about African American history that have to be taught. Like those things should have to be taught, especially even like that can be used in terms of leverage in state schools. Because I know like state universities, they have certain like certain curriculum that they have to cover within like their certain classes that they take, right? Like versus like private universities, they can teach whatever they want. There are definitely ways that they can mandate certain types of like education, I think, to like better some of that. But that's, to me, I feel like that's a part of the kind of long stream of like American history, and like how it's like the slow divide and conquer, right? Like if you can divide them education, like if you can make enough of them dumb and or uneducated about really important issues over time, it's like, I feel like that's how we come to the place that we are now, where you have like I think there is difficulty with overload of information, but it's not that difficult. It's just that if you're not educated to like a base degree, it can be difficult. But if you've had to write like a basic paper in high school or college, like when something is kind of questionable facts, and I feel like we don't have as a country like that base educationally anymore. It's so random now. So like the fact base is so random.
I don't know if we can ever get there, because education is with states. States are, it's 50 experimental laboratories, right? So people, they're gonna teach what they're gonna teach. My question is, and for those who don't know, Juneteenth was June 19th, 1865. The last slavery was abolished in the state of Texas. And there was still fighting in the Civil War after that. There were still pockets of slavery everywhere, but everything's bigger in Texas. So the end of slavery in Texas is apparently a big deal. My question, I guess, to the group is, should we be celebrating Juneteenth?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely, I think it's something worthy of celebration.
So,
but at the same time, it's not like, I mean, okay, we still got a whole lot of work to do. So don't, we made it. Okay. Take a rest and enjoy it, accept it, love it, all that. But yeah, we're not going to forget what they're doing right now as far as trying to keep critical race theory out of schools, because they don't want children to feel uncomfortable, white children to feel uncomfortable, where Black children, it's perfectly okay to be uncomfortable every day.
As Black children leave schools named Jefferson Davis and Robert E. Lee.
Right, you're leaving Robert E. Lee High School.
Right now.
Right. That's really okay.
I wonder, just recently, this past week, the Supreme Court passed a law that the state of Alabama did not have jurisdiction to imprison an Indian because their state, 3/4 of it, is actually an Indian reservation. And they said that the Supreme Court stands by their laws. So I wonder, will that fast forward and play into any of the laws that were written, like the 40 Acres and a Mule, even though I think Ulysses S. Grant backed out of that?
It was a field order that Sherman issued. Lincoln obviously didn't have a chance to follow through on. Okay. They started with some of the slaves in like the Georgia Sea Islands, but they never really finished doing it there. I think what's important here is everybody on this podcast, I guess, kind of sees the symbolism.
Sure.
Kind of sort of, maybe it's substantive, maybe it isn't. I'm wondering, to Joseph's point, if other people are just going to take this and be like, okay, like we got something, or if there's this desire and yearning to want more, especially because of the issues you guys pointed out with CRT not being taught, which is ironic in the passing of Juneteenth. I think I also saw something, a lot of the states that are banning CRT were also the same states that were banning abolitionist literature, like during, like, it's like the exact same state, Alabama, it's like the exact same thing. So I guess celebrate, but I don't know. Don't forget that I like Autumn said, I think she put it best, like there's much more
to do, right?
that we need to do.
Don't lose the forest because of the trees.
Exactly.
This is just a pin. I think that Joe Manchin is going to realize that the Republicans don't want to play ball at all.
Well, I saw you guys saw Stacey Abrams backed his right. His what do we call it? Like his compromise?
Right.
The main compromise?
Yeah.
The Republicans want no parts.
Yeah, I think the idea is the politics behind it, right? If they show that they're a watered down version.
Gerrymandering.
Yeah, if it can pass, like you can see that the Republicans don't want to play ball. Like, this is why you should vote for us in the midterms. I think it's a political play more than anything else.
I haven't really gotten to go over much of the legislation, but I do think I do think Stacey Abrams sometimes, like, I feel like she has to be careful with her power, because just the simple fact that she comes out for something, it allows, like, everyone on the conservative side is going to be like, well, Stacey Abrams is for it. How can you guys not be for it? Like,
there are a bunch of Democrats who are for it.
Yeah, like I think I haven't, like, it just came out, so I haven't really like gone over. But from what I've heard, I have heard something, that it's a bit watered down. Yeah, I don't know what's in it. That's what's not in it that they did want in it before. But I just hope that, like, it's still a strong bill, even that's like, because I think she has now, like, she is going to be a kingmaker going forward, in terms of, like, legislation, like a Bernie Sanders kind of person. Yeah. So, like, I do, and I think that she is one of the people, like, for instance, when the companies were pulling out of Georgia, and she was like, oh, like, I don't really know if they should do that because, the people in the stands. I was like, Stacey Abrams, just be quiet. Yeah. Like, and I know you can't say that to her, and I wouldn't say that to her, but, like, I was like, I didn't need her to come out and then, because then everybody can just come on her side and be like, oh, you see, they shouldn't have pulled out, like, the people's jobs. And it's like, principles are more important than that. Like, and I think she's starting to realize, like, I feel like it would be stupid for anybody who's as talented as her to not play the politics and the legislation part. So I feel like she's starting to play a little bit of the politics, Her so I'm just like, she wants to get the local people to love her as much too, regardless of what the federal
grounding. Remember, her grounding is in Georgia, and she rose the political ranks as a Black woman in Georgia. She's a super moderate politician. She was against taking down Confederate monuments when she was in Georgia. She was against making Stone Mountain. There was something with Stone. There was legislation for Stone Mountain to make it like national landmark or something like that, where Kingsville, and she opposed that. She has now granted this perspective is coming from, a super leftist journalist named Zaid Jilani, who actually has some anti-Blackness, if you ask me. But I looked it up, and it is true. Yeah, not Jelani Cobb, Zaid Jilani. Jelani Cobb, I like. Zaid Jilani, not that so much. But